Okay, let's get rid of this print statement. And once we download our locations from our user defaults, we want to create a weather view for each of them. So underneath, I'm going to write another function, private func create weather views. And this function will go through how many locations we have received, and we're going to create a weather view object, which is our where is our weather view, that has this nice XIB here that we created. So we will create one of these for every location we have. Let's see how it will work. I'm going to call this create weather views function as soon as we have set our locations object and we have the array. So I'm going to say for let's say location in all locations, and this is an array. So for every location we want to create a view and insert into our all weather view array, which we have here on top, all weather view. So let's say all weather view, which is our array, append, and here we are going to append a weather view object. So I can say weather view and I will initialize one. So right now we are creating an empty weather view object we just instantiated, and we just put it inside our weather view array. Since we are not using the variable name here, I can just put underscore so our Xcode doesn't complain. Once we have created this and appended one empty weather view for our all weather view array, what we can do is to write another private func. We need to set the parameters of these view objects now. Private func add weather to scrollView. So let's call this function in our get weather as well, add weather to scrollView. So we get how many weather objects we want here. We create these empty cards. Imagine this is like an empty card, and we will put them in our scrollView, which is our big scrollView. And then once we have everything in our scrollView, we are going to also get the information of our weather. So we are putting the card and then putting the information on the card. So in this function, again, we have to go through all the weather views that we have in our all weather array. So I say for I in 0, and we're going to go through all weather view dot count. So we go through every object in our all weather views, and for every object, for every weather view item, what we want to do is to add them to our scroll view. So let's get the weather view. So I'm going to say let weather view. So we are getting one by one weather views from our array, is equals to all weather view index path I. You know what I'm going to do? Just right click on it, all weather view refactor, rename. I want to be this plural, so it's going to be all weather views. Just hit enter. So we have fixed everything. So once we get our weather view from all weather views, we also want to get a location. So we say let location, because this location is the same as our weather view. So we have these two arrays here of all locations and all weather views. So they are in synchronization. So we have location and a specific weather view for that location. So then we say let location is equals to all locations, and then we access the I as well. This is why we are using for I in. So we have a number of the views. So now we have access of one weather location, which is our view, and the location, which is the location objects of the view. So then we can use this location and use the weather view in order to get the information and set the information about our weather view controller. So let's say now we are going to call the functions which are already written, but for them we are only providing a view. So apart from view, if we give a location to these functions, so it's a current weather, weekly weather, and hourly weather. So we are providing currently only the weather view, and now we want also to provide the location to these functions so that it can take the weather and it can take the location, download the specific weather information from our API for that location, and then combine our weather view with the data of downloaded location. So I'm going to put a comma here and say location, and this is going to be a weather location. Before we didn't have this parameter because our location was fixed and it was hard-coded to be a specific city. And now we want to make everything dynamic, so I'm adding this parameter to all the three functions, and we can call them. So we say get current weather, and the weather view is going to be our weather view, and the location is going to be our location. And then I'm going to call my weekly weather, so I say get weekly weather, and again weather view, location. And finally we want to say get hourly weather, and for our weather view and for our location. So this way we are calling all our functions, and our function in their turn we are gonna get the location dynamically on the class already provided. So once we have all these three information, it means that our view, let me just open my ready application here. So our view has all the data that it needs in order to present it nicely. So once we have this, we want to add it to our scroll view. But you see how our scroll view works? Normally it works up and down, so you can just scroll. But what we want to do in our case is to have it like pages. So like cards here, 1 page, 2 page, etc. So we want to slide it vertically. So for this, we are going to add our cards, our view objects to our scroll view, one next to other. So let's create, because we are going to do it vertically, we need to keep track of our X position. So our X first is going to be 0, and then the next one will be added once our current view finishes. So our X will be like the length of my view, and the other one, and so on. So we have one next to each other. And let's create a X pos, which is going to be equals to my self.view.frame.width, and we're going to multiply this with CG float. We need CG float because this is returning a CG float object, and we need to have the I here. So how many objects we have, we are going to just add one plus the width. Not CG font, CG float. Right, so first goes our first view, then once our screen size finishes, we just multiply with another one, and so on. So this will be our dynamic exposition. Then I want to say weatherView.frame, so we need to set a frame like we used to do here. So this part is no longer valid. I'm going to actually delete this, not comment out. So we set the frame to be equals to CG_rect, and let's have the X, Y, width, and height. The X is going to be dynamic for our X position. So for every view, it's going to multiply with width of our screen. The Y is going to be standard 0 because we want our view to start from top corner. The width again is going to be our weather scroll view dot bounds dot width, and the height is going to be again weather scroll view dot bounds dot height. Okay, so this dynamically sets our frame, and once we have our frame, we can say weather scroll view dot add subview, and our subview is gonna be our weather view. So now we are actually inserting our weather view into our scroll view, and we need to set the scrollable size. So we need to tell our scroll view how big it is, because without telling it, it doesn't know how much it can scroll left, right, up or down. So we say weather scroll view dot content size, and we are going to set the width because we want to have it vertically from side to side scroll, is equals to weather view dot frame dot width, and we see how many weather views we have, and we're going to multiply it with the number of weather views we have. So again, we say CG float, and this is going to be I, variable I plus 1. We are doing plus 1 so that we have a small margin in between them. So the size, the width is going to be our view, and just 1 point here in between our views, so they are not like stuck together. So this way we can have this nice magnetic effect of our scroll view.